Wagwan YouTube, Fikod here. Welcome to today's Destiny 2 video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the weapons of Destiny 2. We're going to be talking about how the weapon system has changed, and we're going to be taking a look at some of the weapons themselves. And at the end of the video, we're going to be speculating about exotics a little bit. So it's going to be a very interesting video indeed, which means if you do enjoy, make sure you slap that like button down below. And of course, if you want more content like this from me, don't be afraid to subscribe. But anyway, let's jump in. So weapons are pretty much the most important thing in the Destiny franchise. Up until now, we've had a pretty standard weapon system consisting of primaries, special and heavy weapons. But now we're shifting to a new system in Destiny 2, consisting of kinetic weapons, elemental weapons and power weapons. The kinetic slot is pretty much the same as the primary slot in Destiny 1. It's going to contain auto rifles, scout rifles, pulse rifles, hand cannons, but it's also going to have a few new additions with SMGs and sidearms. And the elemental slot is exactly the same as the kinetic slot, other than the fact the weapons in the elemental slot will do elemental damage, so arc, solar or void. So you could potentially have the same hand cannon in the kinetic slot and the elemental slot, the only difference being the elemental slot will have elemental damage. And then the power slot is going to include all the special and heavy weapons from Destiny 1 with a few new additions. So it's going to have rocket launchers, machine guns, grenade launchers, snipers, fusion rifles, shotguns and swords. Now you may have noticed I mentioned a few weapon types you're unfamiliar with. That's because Destiny 2 is introducing a few new weapon types alongside all the weapon types from Destiny 1. The new ones are SMGs, grenade launchers and some new types of swords, including what looks like katanas. Weapon foundries are also going to undergo a few changes, most notably the fact a new weapon foundry is going to be added. It's called VIDS, and as we can see here, this warlock is holding a VIDS sidearm. It looks really cool, kind of looks like a green version of Suros weapons, and I really can't wait to feel how these weapons play out. Another change coming to weapon foundries is the fact all weapon foundries are now going to make one of each weapon type. What I mean by this is the fact in Destiny 1 you may have noticed Suros never made a hand cannon. Well, that's now going to change. Each foundry, so Omalon, Suros, Hacker and Vice, are now going to make one of each weapon type, which is obviously going to add a lot of variation in the weapons and just going to add a lot more weapons to play with. During the Destiny 2 gameplay reveal, we saw a few clips of a Guardian in their inventory screen, and as they scored over their weapons we saw something very interesting. Weapon modifications. What are weapon modifications? Well, we don't really know, we've had no official confirmation, but in my opinion, I believe they're going to be like weapon modifications we see in plenty of the first person shooters. The reason I believe this is down to the few things we've seen. The first is this hunter who has a flashlight attached to their shotgun. The second is the laser sight we can see equipped on the end of this grenade launcher, and the third is the suppressor we can see the warlock using on the front cover of PlayStation magazine. So for me, weapon modifications are essentially going to be weapon attachments like we see in any Call of Duty game or any Battlefield game. But what some people believe is the weapon modification slot could be a new slot for weapon skins or ornaments. But for me, I think the name modifications means it's not going to be cosmetic, but we don't know, and I guess we're going to have to see. For me, I love to see weapon modifications like muzzles or extended mags to the depth we see in The Division. Although this may be wishful thinking from me, but regardless, I think weapon modification will add more customization and personalization to our weapons, which is obviously a massive positive, as in Destiny 1 there wasn't really a lot.
And in Destiny 2, we've built you all new weapons, all new armor, and a pile of brand new exotics.
Now we're going to move on to the really interesting part of the video, exotics. Now first up we're going to talk about the 3 exotics we've had confirmed to us and a lot of people have got their hands on them. The first is called Sunshot, and that's an exotic hand cannon that does solar damage, and its exotic perk is called Sunburn, and it says explosive rounds. Highlights targets killed with Sunshot explode in solar energy. So it kind of sounds like Fatebringer, sounds like it has explosive rounds, and Firefly, which obviously is a deadly combo. It's a little bit disappointing for it to be so much like Fatebringer, but it does look really cool. The next exotic we've seen a lot of is Sweet Business. It's a kinetic auto rifle and its main perk is called Payday. Large mag, increased hipfire accuracy, holding down the trigger boosts this weapon's range and rate of fire and automatically loads ammo pickups into the magazine. So this weapon is the Gatling gun that I'm sure you've seen a lot of. It looks really cool. I really want to get my hands on this in the Crucible. Kind of sounds like it's got focus fire, but yeah, looks really good. And then the third exotic is called Risk Runner, which is an arc energy submachine gun, and its main perk is Arc Conductor. Taking arc damage increases weapon power. When Arc Conductor is active, shots fired have a chance to become chain lightning and return ammo. So this exotic for me is a little bit weird. It kind of sounds like if you're using Risk Runner and someone else is using Risk Runner and they engage you because it does arc damage, you'll end up doing more damage than them and then potentially win the firefight. That sounds like a bit of a flaw, but maybe that's the intention. But yeah, for me the standard of exotics looks a lot better. They all look a lot more exotic than exotics did in Destiny 1. But now we're going to talk about some exotics that aren't really confirmed, but we've just seen in the gameplay reveal, and I'm going to speculate on them a little bit. The first one is, of course, Dubious Volley. Pretty much the first exotic we got to see in the gameplay reveal. Now, obviously, it isn't confirmed if this is even going to be called Dubious Volley or if it even is exotic, but I think we're all going to nod our heads in agreement and say this is the exotic Dubious Volley that never made it into Destiny 1. I do have a really in-depth video on the Dubious Volley from the gameplay reveal, so I will have that link below and I do suggest you check that out. The next potential exotic I'm going to show you is this grenade launcher here. I showed you earlier in the video, but the reason I think it's exotic is the fact it kind of resembles the Gjallarhorn from Destiny 1. Although I suppose it does also kind of look like the Year 3 Iron Banner gear, for me it's just too eccentric to be legendary. Two other exotics to know are wielded by NPCs. The first is in the hands of Cade 6. He's using the Ace of Spades, obviously because it is his weapon, but remember in Destiny 1 the Ace of Spades was an exotic we could use. So is it returning in Destiny 2? Well, possibly, but I guess we'll have to see. The next is the No Land Beyond, and it's being used by this sniper who we don't know much about. So again, are we potentially going to get these weapons back in Destiny 2? I think it'd be really cool if we could get them back, and maybe through quests with these characters, and I think having a couple of exotics returning from Destiny 1 would really bridge Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 together really well. That about wraps up today's video, guys. I always try and make these Destiny 2 videos as informative and as enjoyable as possible, so if I achieve that then a positive rating would be appreciated, and if you want to help my channel grow, sharing this video would be really awesome. If you want more content like this from me, be sure to subscribe, and if you want to see my other Destiny 2 breakdown videos, make sure you check out the Everything Destiny 2 playlist of mine that I have linked down below. But in the meantime, I've been Fikod the Man, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.